We have a sample data here of a group of 23 students, which I decided to divide depending on their performance. And if you take a look at my color coding, you will see that I divided the group into high flyers in yellow or orange, steady growth in light blue, average performance in green, steady decline, which is one of the alarming ones because we can see that some kids performed very well at the beginning of the year and ended up with nearly failing or totally failing grades. So that has to do with social emotional learning, situation at home definitely has to be addressed with students themselves, administration, wellness department. Purple group is below average, yet they're progressing. They're improving slowly, steadily. We have tier 3 candidates, pretty alarming and concerning kids who are consistently failing regardless the setting, the collaborative or individual project, the test, the exam, the essay, the homework, they never pass. We can, of course, think of homogeneous groups. Then we just simply group students by their ability. So let's say a group of 3 students in purple could work together. However, I think that it would be way more effective for the majority of activities to group the students in heterogeneous groups. In this case, I do believe from practice and experience that to group together students from extreme, let's put it that way, sides of this spread of achievement would be less productive than grouping students from neighboring, let's say, groups of achievement. Let's say if we are aiming at dividing class for activities in groups of 3-4 students, I would probably combine one high flyer, one student who steadily grows, one average performer, and maybe one of the 3 below. I believe when the ability in the group is spread kind of evenly and there is no drastic gap in achievement, performance, and so forth, it's creating more fair atmosphere in the group. It's easier for the students to divide labor, to compare their results, to have an ongoing discussion, and to feel unified in this sense. One of the examples of activities that could be used for both homogeneous and heterogeneous groups of different abilities would be, let's say, a small project on Hitler Youth. I created literary circles activity. One of the examples of activities that could be used for both homogeneous and heterogeneous groups of different abilities would be, let's say, a small project on Hitler Youth. I created literary circles activity. I usually let the students choose their partners first. Students tend to know with whom they will work better, with whom they share the pace and interests. They know with whom they are socially and academically comfortable working. So usually my approach to grouping matches the intuition and the choices of the students. So when they end up being in one group, they have a choice of roles. And again, students intuitively know how to distribute the labor. So lower achievers would usually choose something a little more simple. I have 3 roles here. So one person in the group will be an interrogator. Their job is to drive the discussion. So all the members of the group need to annotate the text and the corresponding chapters. So they can do it collaboratively, they can discuss it along the way, and that would create some better understanding among the members who are not as advanced. Annotations come with a rubric. They, of course, have to define all the words that are unfamiliar or triggering some doubts. As long as they work in the group, better achieving students can help clarify, explain, rephrase for lower achievers. So this student will generate questions, answer them, and ask those questions to their group members. Another person will analyze and summarize the content of the chapter. Usually, kids who have lower performance choose this role, and naturally so, because they have to build reading comprehension in order to fulfill their own role. And then we have a more complicated role, propaganda detective. So those kids who are not as challenged by simply summarizing, they take on this more challenging task of finding arguments, claims, counterclaims, premises, evidence, in order to analyze how rhetoric was used, how persuasion was used. What's the beauty of this assignment? The beauty is that we can anytime shuffle the groups, and if, let's say, Kowalski is challenged, we can regroup the groups, circle is broken, and all Kowalskis of the class sit together, brainstorm, clarify, explain, and work together. So groupings are immediately changed. So we will have, instead of, let's say, heterogeneous group where critical thinker here, summarizer here, and propaganda detective argument analyzer here, would be regrouped into homogeneous groups. Kids who chose less challenging or more challenging tasks for better understanding. Kids with special needs, of course, will enjoy more of my differentiation. I might clarify, I might provide them with extra vocabulary sheets. I might sit with their group one-on-one or with them one-on-one and rephrase, re-explain, visualize the instructions. Provide gifted students might be asked to extend their learning. Let's say provide a poster similar to Nazi propaganda and to use rhetoric. I usually, when I extend learning, I make it a creative project. I let them incorporate art or something so they feel like it's not a burden, but rather a rewarding and a challenging assignment. Another extension can be simply a rubric. So when I see that gifted students are kind of complete, I ask them to revise the rubric and we look into excellence criteria and find what could we add. Let's say promote divergent and creative perspectives. So I start asking them questions to extend their approach towards content, to relate it to their own experiences, to create an activity for the rest of the class that would deepen the critical thinking and understanding, maybe to connect the content that they are covering about past events to present events, to identify issues, to find solutions, to create a step-by-step solution plan, and so on and so forth. Since the summative assignment of this project is a class-wide discussion, formative assignment where these students are approaching is a discussion in both homogeneous and heterogeneous groups. So in this case, I would probably allow students to shuffle 3 times during the class, in which twice they will choose their own groups and 1 time I will assign heterogeneous groups. So I would make sure that students throughout that formative discussion that might be even ungraded but well monitored will be extending, sharing, and spreading their knowledge. I will make sure that all high flyers and steady growers will share their thoughts and opinions, which I would encourage to be questioned by the rest of the class, of course, with all of them. And then we will also focus on those 3 groups that are below average, let's put it that way, to express their ideas, to express their positions, in order for them to feel more confident and more prepared for the summative discussion. I will encourage all learners to make extensive notes of the key points of the formative discussion. So that way, I hope we will not have students who plainly failed. And if during the summative discussion, some students would still not achieve, I will give them another chance to have one more discussion with me in a more narrow, safer environment after classes. Considering that it's an activity for the 8th grade, I find it appropriate to give them one more chance and let them have more preparation time. I find it an appropriate differentiation. Thank you.